Does it change? Thank you, Keita. Appreciate you. I forgot to check that. The setting always changes. It's like it's created another link for some program I haven't used in forever. First, it was the video. Of course, obviously, I can see like, okay, it's not on the camera, but the audio changes, and I don't realize it until you guys say something. I appreciate you. I would hate to go a whole hour of just silence, complete silence. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Yes, I appreciate you, Keita. I know you got me. I know you got me. I appreciate you guys being here and being a part of the Brothers of Legacy. Thank you, my YouTubers as well, my podcast people. I appreciate you greatly because podcast is like steadily growing. I don't know, more people, you guys are listening more, or it's catching the attention of folks on the outside from somewhere. The algorithm works. It comes up in front of you as every time you uh, talk about or mention, or somebody clicks on it, said, "Hey, such and such listening. You might be interested as well." So you know how that works. Because like I said, I've probably said before, like I've studied like YouTube's algorithm and how to monetize, not monetize, but how to get your video seen more. And pretty much everyone says the same thing. They've been doing it. They hit on a good topic, and they start making content. More people are seeing, and it's like a snowball effect, because the more people that see it, the more people that see it, and then the more people see it, the more people get a chance to see it, because it gets put on a suggested list, because it's like, oh, there's something interesting going on in this space. So yeah, that and that. What up, Richard? Good morning. Good morning. So I'm looking for my snowball effect. Hey, Mama Corey, great morning to you. Make sure you're sharing. Sharing is caring. Make sure you share. Tag somebody if you're in the Facebook land, and let everybody know that the brothers are in the building. I've been toying with this idea of letting Facebook go. Tell you why. Well, one, the algorithm, or the basics of being seen on Facebook has changed tremendously. Um, and I would rather just everybody that's watching here that's on Facebook just to watch it on YouTube. One, YouTube has a consistent algorithm, and YouTube pays. It takes a minute, it takes some growth, but I think I'm considering taking all of my energy, all of my focus, and putting it in one space. Of course, we will share on Facebook and clips and things like that, just to get people over into the YouTube space. But I'm toying with that idea. Yeah, so let that marinate, let that sit. Let me know what you think. Um, yeah, because that's kind of my plan going into 2022. A more YouTube push, because I've seen a lot of videos they're not on Facebook at all. They're on the people that produce the YouTubes are on Facebook, but they just do clips to get you to the YouTube space. So that's I'm considering that strategy. So, like again, I said again, welcome to the Brothers of Legacy, where we don't stand out, we stand up. And today we are talking about handling loss and pressing forward. Handling loss and pressing forward. Rich, I mean, and I like just a quick conversation about, like, I've been thinking, like, yeah, why not all platforms ever get a chance to see you? But they really don't. they, I don't know. They really don't, unless I'm targeting, I'm doing ads and things of that nature. Um, I don't mind being noticed on Facebook, but as far as watching, I'd rather you watch it on YouTube, because as far as I know, like, I don't know the monetization on Facebook, but the YouTube monetization is probably the best space. And I'd rather be in a space where, I can give great content as well as be able to get something back without having to tax my people. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather just get monetized off you just watching. All you can do is watch, share, watch, share, watch. You know, So that's my goal. And because I was I'm totally on the all platforms thing. I love it. But yeah, he said, oh, he said, he said Trump looks to launch a platform. Yeah, that's not surprising. That's not surprising. Um, that's not surprising. Because he ain't really said a whole lot, in a lot of spaces in a while. He's been kind of I don't even know. I ain't gonna say tweeting because you don't have a Twitter account. So yeah, you probably will. But yeah, so that's my thinking as of today. Well, that's a good question. That's good to say, Rich. But um, it wouldn't be worth it at this level because I don't have enough people. Like I'd rather be on somebody else's where I can get seen without that work. All right. So today we're talking about handling loss and pressing forward. Real quick, boom, boom. Make sure you check out the Brother Legacy podcast. You know that. And tonight, Purpose for Forever. Make sure you check it out. We're gonna have a great conversation. If you've ever seen the show Scandal, we're gonna be making some serious comparisons. I don't know. We've been on this binge watch, and I don't. If you've ever had the opportunity to watch something again in a new space or mindset, you see things differently. That's at one point, you're cheering one person on, then you watch like, ooh, I never noticed certain things. I never noticed they're not as much as the enemy as I realize. Some folks have just been victimized and this is why they become the way they are. Like it doesn't make it right, but it gives you understanding. You're like, oh, well, they're just reacting to the environment that they've been placed in, So it's interesting. So tonight we're going to be talking about that, like the Scandal comparison. You need to watch it. It's gonna be it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. All right. Without further ado, we're gonna go ahead get started, and we appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. Thank you, my podcast people. Thank you for always supporting, and all my people that watch live. I appreciate you as well because you've been here since day one. Day one. All right. Hang tight. We'll be right back. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Good morning. Good morning, Pastor.
Morning. How's everybody?
Well, all is well. All is well. I'm gonna answer for everybody. They're good. They're good. So let's see. I didn't put it there. So, like I said, today we're talking about handling loss and pressing forward. This this conversation kind of is a lead off from
another Monday morning
hype one. This is yeah. Yeah, I know. This one is we're gonna take an uptake on it. It's gonna start off a little low, but we're gonna push it up a little bit. Just rock with me this one. Just rock with me. Because when we came up with it, I was like, yeah, Pastor gonna get me for this one. This is another good old wowsing on this Monday morning. So this conversation was unfortunately a result of another one of my childhood friends passing. He had a massive heart attack and he passed last week. Philip Coleman. I was trying to find one of our old pictures where we was hanging out. I think we was all in my station wagon eating McDonald's. One of them old school pictures, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, so he has passed. It's just life is short kind of conversation, like and how and it's funny, like I was talking to my friend, I was like, man, this is like the third friend I've lost to a health situation, you know. And I don't know about you, Pastor. I don't know if you've ever like had the opportunity to go over some elder's house or be with other folk and they start asking, hey, how's such and such? Oh, they gone. You know, they've passed. They died. You know, like you're like, dang, like, Gertrude, oh yeah, she passed 2 weeks ago. You know, like those conversations, and you just like, wow, we started. I'm entering that stage in a sense where, you know, it's not like violence. It's not, you know, because when you're growing up, it's like, oh yeah, they got shot. They had a car accident. You know, we're getting to they had a heart attack. They had a stroke. And you just, it becomes a conscious things. Wow. Sorry for your loss, Richard. He said our friend died of COVID Saturday. Appreciate you. Thank you. It was Cowboy Super Bowl. We'll get into that later, right before the end of the show. We'll get into that. I would say Pastor's prediction, but you already know, you know, they stronghold. They could be 0 and 25. We got a Super Bowl run. But yeah, so I just kind of like, I don't know. I guess I should have titled it a little differently. Just more of a reflection of when loss happens. Do you reflect on life more? I know at funerals you always like feel like a connection with people around. Yeah, we're gonna stay in contact. You know, like I've done that several times until I realized I'm gonna stop saying that because I don't think I really mean it. You know, like it's one of those feel good moments. Yeah, you know, especially like before a cell phone. I'm write your number down here. We're gonna call each other. We're gonna stay connected. You know, because you feel it. You know, especially with loss, you just like, oh my gosh, time is so short. I thought I had more time because I've been thinking about calling you. You know, because I've had, you know, one of my friends that passed. I was like, oh man, I've been thinking about calling him for a long time. He said, oh, yeah, right, Rich. It never actually works out that way. So with handling loss, you know, I think, you know, how do you what does your reflection look like? What do you reflect on when you lose a peer, you know, that you lose somebody of the same age that may be almost like the same kind of make. Of course, you don't know everything that they ate. You don't know how they lived exactly. You don't know what they drank. You know, you don't know all the specifics, but people that are kind of like seem in the same space that you are, you know, that may pass. Like, how do you look at it from that perspective? You know, or do you, or you just like, you know,
right in my life currently?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I am like, for me, I lost my son. I'm 2 weeks away from the anniversary of losing my son.
Wow.
So I don't have my heart goes out, but I'd be lying if I did not admit that everything about me is still working and processing through my son.
Right.
You know,
Right.
my heart goes out to people.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but and it's sincere. I have sincere condolences for people who are suffering loss, because my son, I'm not the only one going through that.
Of course.
You know,
Right.
but to act like like there's no rival to my emotional state, because I'm on a countdown right now of November 7th to November 7th. Right. So it's like having to, you know, wrap your brain and you know, continue to function and fight that stuff. I mean, it's okay to feel it and everything, but for me, I'm not really thinking about anybody else
right
now.
Wow.
You know, not when it comes to that, not to that extent. I'm going to always be there for people, pray with people and all that, but my emotional state is occupied with what happened a year ago. Right. Because this will be my first November 7th without him. Like, over the last year, I've experienced a whole lot of firsts without my son.
Him.
You know what I mean? Everything has been a first. Today is a first. Right.
True.
So for me, I can think about other issues, other situations. I've talked to people, you know, wow, We haven't spoken since high school, or
Right.
man, I
Right.
just talked to them 3 weeks ago.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and your heart goes out. But
Yeah.
I'm like, for me, it's always going to come back to the Lord. It's always going to come back to the spiritual things.
Right.
God does what He does.
Right.
God is God.
Yes, indeed.
And so I always, my objective is always to just let people know someone is available, that you're
Right.
not alone, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I don't think obviously my son is the closest person to
Yeah.
me that has ever passed. My mother is
Right.
still here.
Yeah.
I didn't know my father when he passed, so this one is real.
Right.
Not that anything else isn't, but it's more real to me than anything else has ever been. So the emotions are real, they are valid, and all of that. You still have to perform, you have to function, and all of that.
Right.
But it's I think it's always on people's mind because people are always thinking about, what would we be doing right now?
Right. Right.
What would our next conversation have been?
Right.
What if we actually did accomplish that task? With their friends, their close ones, whatever,
Yeah.
even if it's family.
Yeah.
I think they're always going to be on your heart.
Right.
So
Right.
so how you handle it, you handle it like you handle it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. 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 Because I mean, I know this is like a heavy thought provoking conversation. I just kind of want to just kind of tap on it, on this Monday. I
Yeah,
guess
absolutely.
I think conversations that we've not really had. Like last week
Hmm.
was a different conversation as well as this one. And just navigating, loss and dealing with, what does it look like going forward.
Yeah.
Like I think when my mother passed like 2 years ago, and my dad passed almost
Hmm.
20 years ago. But the some of the loss that you carry with you,
Yeah.
I think and it's always like it's fine to carry just as long as it's not a hindrance.
Yeah. Right.
It's having that thought as well. Because I've had people, like bring it up for a reason they're not doing something. Like, but that they passed like 15 years ago, and you never want
Hmm.
to make something small, but you're like, that's a long time to be kind of stuck. Like, or you should think about help or professional help to kind of like you need to find your way to be able to move forward. Like, it's never forgetting. There's this.
Yeah.
I'm never. That's why I said pressing forward. It's never a getting over it. There's never a getting over moment. There's just an ability to continue forward without dragging something that has happened in the past.
Yeah.
Mourning, if I could say properly, in the sense, or healthy, a healthy mourning. Being able to reflect and being able to process, and then being able to move forward. And trust me, just like all topics, it's easier said than done,
Yeah.
especially with certain loss, especially like your pastor son, your spouse, those folks that are like your every single day. you
Yeah.
know, like when my parents passed, I wasn't like connected to them every single day. It was I talked to, my mother like every once in a while, every couple of weeks, just the check-in. So you think you could reflect and think about them, but someone in your life every single day, like a pastor son every day. I mean, their words were like this, literally. So his loss is huge. I mean, even if I lost my son, it's huge, but it's the comparison is huge. I don't want to go
But
all into it, but yeah,
but to
it's
your
big.
point, I don't think there is a comparison,
Right,
right?
right. You're right.
Because
That's true.
I
That's true.
can't. Yeah, really, there's nothing
That's
I
true.
can take away from you
Right,
with any loss that you suffered. I can't
right,
measure the impact
right,
of your loss. You know what I
right.
mean?
That's true. That's
Uh,
true.
just like no one can measure the impact of mine. And so, I mean, I learned that a long time ago that you can't measure loss or the
Right,
impact of loss in anyone's life,
right,
and you can't measure or dictate the length or extent of a mourning season,
right, right, right.
right?
True.
You have
That's
certain
true.
relationships. You
That's
you know
true.
you lose
That's true.
someone that's connected to you. You may mourn them the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I can't like for me, I can't fathom a day that I won't be mourning my son.
Right.
Right. Um,
Yeah.
but to your point, there's a difference between living with these. Like Paul said, I have a thorn in my side that,
Right.
he just, there's certain things that you'll just never be able to get rid of, and you learn to live with,
Right. Right.
And I don't even think it's living in spite of, I think you just live with it.
Right.
One man said, Lord, help me to get past the things I may never get over.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll always be
Definitely.
with me, but I can still be productive. I can still be functional.
Right.
And so I think the gray area, what gets sensitive is when, someone starts to evaluate whether or not someone is stuck,
Right. True.
right?
True.
Versus moving forward, but just not at the pace you desire,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That's
There is a
good.
difference. You can get
That's
stuck,
good. That's good.
but oftentimes, I found people saying, maybe you need somebody to talk to, and they're already talking to someone.
Right.
Maybe you just don't understand how heavy the loss
Yeah.
was for that
That's true too.
individual. You
That's true.
understand? And
That's
so
true. That's good.
it's always important to have someone to talk to. That's why I
Right.
say that the best ability is availability
Right.
in situations like that. Let people know that they're not alone. Don't crowd them. And certain people want to be surrounded by folks.
Right. Yeah.
But you have to know. The Bible says, "Know them that labor among you." You have to
Right.
know who they are and really measure and ask open-ended questions.
Right.
So that people can talk to you. And
Right.
know the difference between when someone wants to talk about it and when they don't.
Mhm.
It's those things that we have to be careful about when we're interacting. Because I'm saying, I've ministered to so many people. I've encouraged so many people in their time of loss, and it's like DNA.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like a fingerprint. Every situation is different. There are no two experiences that are alike. In all the years that I had been operating in ministry, even before being called and working with homegoings and dealing with families and being available, every situation has its own identity.
Right. Right. That's deep.
And so
That's
you have
deep.
to be really, really open
Right.
when it comes to that. Mhm.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Because we always pace things based on what we've seen or what we think we know, you know,
Mhm.
or especially like the older you get, the more you see. So like you try to put people in the okay, you're in that box. Like I've seen this situation before, and then you
Right.
realize everybody's so different, when it
Oh
comes
yeah.
to certain things, you just like, okay, maybe you're processing differently.
Mhm.
But so let me ask you this though. What do you do if someone is holding on, right? And they're grieving. I get it. Like you can't push somebody to move. But what if their grieving keeps them from moving forward? Or, like okay, let's say and I know you may not have the answer, but I'm gonna just throw it out there anyone listening. So say uh like someone passes, like someone close, and they have a burial within the state, like right down the road, they're buried in that plot, right? And this person gets an opportunity to move and they don't want to because they don't want to leave that plot. Like it's funny because that's kind of the conversation me and Sam has had, like with one of the reasons of cremation, we were like, no one, I don't want to ever want my kids having to come back, like to like just have a moment where you at, but you feel like the person is there or physically there, like I gotta go visit them. I gotta go see about them, and and like her dad, like we wanted to go see his burial plot, probably like the mid 2000s, I think, early to mid 2000s, and the place was so old, weeds had taken over, you know. Her aunt was like, "Yeah, you can't really go there. It's like
Mhm.
uninhabitable now, it's one of those old, real old kind of spots. And she wasn't really stuck. She just kind of was just processing, his loss and just really thinking about it, meeting the family and stuff like that. But I was just, what would you say, or can you think you could say anything, or would there be any advice, or just like an unapproachable kind of thing? Richard
No,
said,
I think it just requires
Okay.
dialogue. It requires communication. It
Right.
requires, like you have to talk about why you feel the way you feel about
Right.
a thing.
Right.
Right. And in a lot of cases, if you begin to talk through it,
Right.
you'll answer it yourself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because and you have to be very careful, because the way people feel about burials is all different. There are traditions, there are
Right.
customs
Right.
with certain cultures, with people, with religion.
Yeah, true.
Family, and there's so much. So
True.
those are the things that you have to talk through to find out, how valuable this is to a person, to an individual. How critical is it that you get back to that space? Because for me, and again, this is Brian.
Right.
Brian.
Right.
I know that my loved one isn't over there under that headstone, that gravestone.
Right.
They're not there.
Right.
What's in there, I'll never see again.
Right.
You understand? I didn't say I wouldn't see my loved one again.
Right.
I said what's in there, I'll never
see again. Right.
And so those are the things that you have to talk through. And then you talked about they don't want to move because they want to stay. Yeah, okay. Well, you can want to live in a place because you're next to a gravestone, but you have to ask the question why.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, unless construction or they move the cemetery, that gravestone is going to be there. So you can always come back.
Right.
Unless you're saying, I never want to buy a ticket to come back here.
Right.
There are certain, there's so many other factors that come into play. It's difficult to even talk about it because everybody has a different reason for wanting to be close to a cemetery. And certain people just have, there's other emotional things or dynamics that come into play. So without dealing with a specific situation, certain people just don't know how to let go. And there's other areas in their life that probably prove that out.
Right.
Certain people have insecurities. There's other areas in their life that may prove that out. But there could be a tradition and someone says, no, it's my responsibility to be here, to be a caretaker of, and all of that. I accept that. There's so many things,
man. Yeah. True.
Yeah. And so you have to talk through that stuff so that you can understand and get them talking about it so that they begin to understand what it is they're doing and why they're doing it. And then they can make an informed decision on how they move forward.
Okay. Question. All right. So this might be a good one. All right. Rich, what if you're so close and loved said person was so much larger than life, such an incredible person, a great person? My parents were cremated, as will I. Was that a question? What if you are so close and loved said person, was so larger than life, such an incredible person, a great person? Are you asking about cremation? Clarify that question, my man.
I mean, you have to, what I've learned to do is embrace the wonderful experience.
Right. Yeah.
That's what
Rich said. Yeah.
You have to embrace the wonderful experiences that you've had, and you have to hold on and cherish those experiences, cherish those memories, because they become the value for you. That's the emotional currency that helps you pay your way through your day.
Right.
Is the wonderful memories that the up times and the down times, because all of it becomes great at the time of bereavement. Everything that we went through together. My son and I used to have some knockdown dragouts, man.
Yeah.
I threatened to put him out at one time. So, no one could ever understand our relationship. But we were inseparable.
Yes, indeed.
And so
Indeed.
you just cherish those moments. You hold on to those memories,
Yeah.
and that becomes your emotional currency, the memories,
Right.
not the loss.
Right.
The
Definitely.
loss can't the loss is not of value to me. I can't use that as currency.
Right.
That's a debit.
Mhm.
you
It's-
know.
Sam said, when I think about my great grandmother who raised me, I'm still affected by the time when she crossed over. On the other hand, oh, okay, crossed over. On the other hand, they are thought of good moments and sometimes sadness because I know how much she loved me, how much I loved her, and how I love the only God gives me. Oh, I love that only God gives me today. Okay.
Yeah. See, that's
And she has
currency.
20 years. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's currency.
Right.
That's better than Wall Street right there.
Right.
You
And
know.
Richard said, yes, it took me 3 years to get over my dad. That person, the last 10 years, we were ever close. Gotcha. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. So, I mean, all loss is, it's a personal thing. Everybody deals with loss differently. Just kind of, like I said, I want to kind of put this question out there, push this thought, because I feel like I'm around that, just getting that age, and you're like, I thought we had at least another 20 years before I lost anybody, like yeah, it's kind of just a reflection, like, how death, it seems so close. That's just my thought, and that's AD's thought. I know it's like what they call it, those morbid thoughts, where you're just like, man,
Mhm.
that's close. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a bomb dropping. It's like, oh, it hit the house next door. Like, oh Lord, I might be next. Like, um. So I don't know. So it's just been on my mind, probably like all weekend, just kind of thinking about it. Right? He said, you never think they die, but you know it. Right? You know what's coming. What is someone you're gonna, if you live long enough, you know, that's pretty much the goal, until Jesus
Yeah.
returns. We're gonna die, or Jesus gonna get us.
Yeah.
Um, he said for sure it is definitely a personal thing. Everyone gets through it, gets over it in such a different way. So you're right, AJ. Yeah, and I never like all of the conversation. I never want to diminish anybody's feelings, and I try to make sure it's broad, because like I said, our mindset operates how we grow up, what we see, what we think, how we feel, how we connect, is different. Like I know if someone, their mother passed and they held on to a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
like old seasonings, like just a lot of stuff, and so and to me it's like that's a lot, but who am I to say how you get through something? Who am I to judge what you do? It's just how I think how we've grown up. Oh, what up, Mike?
Morning, sir.
McNair in the building. um but yeah, I think it's sometimes like, how you grow up. I don't know, my family has kind of like taught me how to kind of cut feelings. It's like those things that you unfortunately learn in your household, like we don't, this is how you not carry your feelings with you. Like this is how you mourn. This is how you mourn in 3 days. Like, and then move forward. Like, it's crazy. Like how to, yeah. Some people are like tight, and they I don't know. It's yeah, that's could be another conversation. But yeah, it's crazy how emotionally you grow up in households. Like people are really like emotional and tight, and even it could be going through a lot of stuff, but you still like have those emotions. Like my house wasn't emotional like that. We weren't mean or abusive. It just wasn't like
Yeah,
a
I
warm
get it.
emotional kind of space. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just, and you grow up like that, and like you said, someone can be like, that this is my decade or my turn to be over the plot, in 5 years, somebody else takes it over. Or if I pass, then the next person kind of takes over to make sure it's clean, make sure it's straight. Yeah, so there's a traditions and things of that nature in
That's a
growing
lot.
and where you grow up. Yeah, and I guess you have to yeah, talk to more with dignity, right?
Now that's
Yeah.
something different,
Yeah.
Elder. Mourning with dignity and cutting off emotion are two different things.
Right. Listen.
But I feel you though. I mean, mourning with dignity. That's cool. I can deal
Right.
with that.
Oh man. Get that
But at
one
some
chair.
point, that those emotions are going to surface.
Yes, that is
You
true.
know,
Somewhere.
you subdue them,
Yeah.
but they're not cut
Round them
off.
up. Yeah. You round
They're
them
not
up.
cut off.
You stick them back here till the pocket fill up. You keep. Let me put that right there.
Yeah.
That is true. Oh, reverence. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, indeed. You take that. We're gonna put that right there. I'm gonna take them feelings and put them away.
But you're not fitting like you talked about putting people in a box, right?
Yeah.
And in grief share training, you learn that there are stages, right? When you lose someone, you go through different stages. Some say there's 5. I think there's 50. you know, there's the standard 5 that people write in books about.
Right.
But you also have to think about, there's grief.
Yeah.
There's one second, somebody's pinging me.
Right.
There's grief. There's bereavement, and there's mourning. Right? And you might talk to someone who's grieving.
Yeah.
And they haven't hit the next phase.
Right.
And so you could misdiagnose someone who's reacting to a loss.
Right.
Because grieving, that's the reacting to the loss. This just happened. So I have a mental, psychological, spiritual, emotional, even sometimes physical reaction.
Right.
And that's the grief of a loss.
Yeah.
The bereavement is the process. That's the season of loss.
Right.
And then the mourning, that's why I say, I'll mourn my son for the rest of my life, because that is the adapting to life with the loss.
I got you.
Ooh,
let me ask you this. I'm glad you kind of broke it down in a process-like phase. So I guess that's what therapy kind of does. Like, like, can you be taught to handle loss? Like, can you be taught to handle loss?
Yeah, I have had to. Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
Grief.
Yep.
Right.
And that's when people need help, so they can understand what they're dealing with and how to be able to work through what they're feeling.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Taylor. Absolutely.
So all the points in between, like stuck at 2.5. Yeah. He said prepared. Yeah. Prepared. Like when it happens, how to process, how to deal, because I don't like, even in my household, trying to be more connected to your emotions, like teach my children, like how not to process, how to not get stuck. This is how you remember, like you stay in the mourning state. How do you not get stuck in a state, and I guess understanding where they're at and being able to move to the next stage, where you're not being functional any longer, because I guess you're stuck in that grief stage. So and that's kind of, I'm glad you broke down the process, because that's kind of how I want to talk about it, like that way, instead of how you, like you said, in the morning, or remembering stage, because that's like you said, that's forever. You're never forgetting. Anybody that's been close to you, yeah, every day, or even just your parents, because they may not be your everyday, but they're your parents. You've talked to them, you've gone through something, and you've called, like, hey, give me some wisdom, because you're way older, and I know you've been there or seen it, and it's like, when you have that loss, you lose that wisdom, that part of your life. You never forget. But like I said, being in that stage of remembering, but not being in the stage where you can't get out of bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's,
bro, I did so much
right
with my son, you know, I'll never forget my first, I think I shared this with you, my first appointment after he passed with uh, the the folks who were handling the process for us, right? I had an appointment. I had to go talk to them about what my plans were, and you know, and the picking out the colors and all this stuff. And I was leaving home,
Right.
and I'm getting in my car to leave home, and I go to my son's room
Hmm.
to tell him I'm getting ready to leave,
Wow.
and he's not there
Right.
because I didn't do anything without
Right.
alerting him, because everything had, and
Everything.
I'm in the car and I'm driving and I'm looking at my watch, timing the
Right.
distance that I have to drive,
Right.
because I know I got to get back,
Yep. Yeah.
because he could be okay in his room for a short amount of time.
Right.
I could run up the street to the store or something like that, but it's
Right.
always about, the clock. Everything for me
Yeah.
was about the clock. I
Yeah.
got to get back. If I have somebody sitting with him, they got to leave at 2 o'clock. Yes, everything was calculated. Everything. Right. I learned my cycle for using the bathroom was consistent with his. Like, I would wait till he had to use the bathroom so that I could use the bathroom at the same time,
Right.
so that I wouldn't sit at my desk, go use the bathroom, come back, sit down, and then he calls me and says he's got to use the bathroom.
Right. Right.
I used to frustrate me. I'm like, man, but seriously. And he was like, Dad, I didn't know you had to pee. Right.
Right.
So like
Right.
that's how calculated my life was, because I aligned my bathroom breaks with him so that we could both go at the same time.
Right. Right.
And God help him if I had to go really bad. And he had to go really, because I'm like, who gets to go first? Right.
Right.
But I'm saying, it has taken time,
right,
to learn how to get up and leave the house.
right.
It
Yeah.
has taken time to learn how to walk around the house without peeking in his room,
Right.
because he always wanted his door closed, always. And
Really?
what's amazing is, for like 6 months after he was gone, we kept the door closed. I'm like, why is the door closed? And I just opened it up a couple of months. And I'm saying, these are the things that people don't know. A lot of people don't know happen with you.
Yeah.
And so for someone who's grieving, and and they're going through that, it could cause some real problems. Certain people, when in the grieving stage, they won't eat.
Right.
Their social activities can diminish. They just don't want to deal with anybody. Don't want to talk to anybody. Don't want to see anybody. All of these things happen when you're grieving, or they can happen when you're grieving.
Right.
And if someone misdiagnoses that, you could ruin a person emotionally, mentally,
Right.
psychologically, if you don't. So it's important to understand where you are, so that you learn how to cope.
Right.
With where you are. So the question was, can you teach someone? Yeah, it's important to help people understand what it is they're feeling.
Right. True.
So that they can learn how to cope.
Yes,
Yeah, life changing, McNair. Absolutely, bro.
Richard said, in my dad's last 12 weeks, it was absolutely obvious him passing was coming rapidly, but I wasn't prepared for it. I lived with my parents 50 years, only 7 years living alone. There's so much I had to learn that I didn't need to know before. My journey after has been monumental. Wow.
Yeah. And see, that's like, when you have that opportunity, like what a blessing it is when you have an opportunity to say your goodbyes, and and all of that.
Right.
Grief can hit you hard when it's unexpected.
Yeah, indeed. Yes,
that
indeed.
Immediately they were here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
Brian had just eaten his dinner.
Wow.
And he was gone.
Right.
So that all of that has an impact on the grieving process.
Right. Definitely.
I lost
1.5 stone.
1.5.
I guess is that weight? You know, that's you don't hit us with an English term, sir.
That weight, I'm like, are we in bedrock? What?
Educate us on that word stone, brother.
Yeah.
Let's see. Keita said, my mom has been going for 22 years and I still catch myself shutting down at certain times in the year, right? I also take the long route.
I totally get that.
Yeah, so I don't pass the home that she lived in. Wow.
I get that, Keita. I definitely understand.
Wow.
Completely understand. Yeah.
Let's see. All right. So we appreciate you guys rocking and being with us here. You are watching and listening to the Brothers of Legacy. Be sure to join our community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Never miss an broadcast. He said, I was defeated, defiant. I was going to implode and fold. Gotcha. Break down with stone, though. You didn't give us the definition of stone. I know we stuck. I lost 1.5 stone when grieving. Was that money? Was that weight? That seems like weight. I'm going with that. But let us know. So we appreciate you guys being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Okay, weight. That was weight. Okay, kilos. Okay. Weight. Weight. In pounds. That would be pounds for us. Okay, I got you. I got you. So I appreciate you guys being here and rocking with us. Make sure you are subscribing. Make sure you are liking the Facebook page. Make sure you're sharing the Facebook page as well. Hit invite. Hit select all your friends, families, neighbors, enemies, people you don't like, that's in your friend list. You know they're there. You just haven't taken them out yet. Let them know about the Brothers of Legacy. He said Fitbit watch. So I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you watch tonight the Purpose for Forever. Forever ever. We'll be breaking down the show Scandal, some things we've discovered, some conversations that we begin to have. It's kind of interesting. TV show Scandal. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Oh man. It's good. It's good. And we if you watch the conversation, I'll probably make sure we give some backdrop to some characters. So I don't want to just get so surface about it. I'm like, I don't know the characters. You ever watch something like I don't know that show. Yeah. It's hard to follow conversation. You're like, I don't know. So I'll make sure we give some more character breakdown so people can understand. Oh, that's the character. That's the character. You're probably going to want to watch it. You're like, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for all your support. My podcast people, thank you guys for listening. It's growing steadily. There's a growth happening. So I'm excited about that. And as always, continue to stay safe. Keep your 6 feet. Wear your mask. That's what we do. That's what we're talking about. And continue to pray. Always know that we love you. God loves you more. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So like I said, join our community. Text LWN to 84576. Feel like you're not getting notifications, especially if you're connected to Facebook. You're probably not. You're not. So go to YouTube, subscribe to the page, hit the bell notification, and you'll always know when we come on. Always. Because they always come through, at least for now. Love you too, Mama McCory. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right. So we will see you in the AM. Continue to stay safe, guys. Stay safe. And as always, do the right thing. Do the right thing. All right. Peace out. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for hanging, being with us. Sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that watch in the background that I know.